My name is Seth Berry, and I'm the Majority Whip in the Maine House of Representatives. I'm also a school teacher. I've been an educator for 20 years and a parent of a couple of young children, so this is very important to me. We are right now, as we speak, in the State House, just a couple blocks from here, closing a budget that involves dealing with a $1.1 billion shortfall. So legislative leadership and the Appropriations Committee and several other key committee members that we were hoping could be here tonight were unable to attend. But we did have a pretty good turnout considering the difficult challenges over there. And I was very pleased to see a lot of our key policy leaders from both the Health and Human Services Department and the Education Department here as well. So I think it was a very successful start to the conversation that we need to have. Well, I think that Dr. Ross did a phenomenal job of helping us to begin to think about research and the need for research as we go forward. You know, we all have great hopes about what the federal stimulus dollars, the new federal administration, and our own commitment here in Maine to early childhood will bring. We all understand that we have runaway costs at the K-12 level that we need to address, and that there's a huge opportunity in the 0 to 5 age set for getting ahead of problems before they occur and controlling those costs down the road. I think Christine, again, she laid the groundwork and helped us to begin to think about research, what it means to do good research, and to monitor the progress of what you do and don't do as you begin to really ramp up programs and new thinking here in Maine. You know, she's seen it happen around the nation. She's looked at studies and meta-studies, and I think it was a great eye-opener for us in thinking about how to measure our success and our progress as we go forward.
I'm Susan Gendron, Commissioner of Education, and I'm here because I also serve on the Growth Council. I'm very focused on early childhood education and trying to advance a birth to 5 program that's comprehensive in the state of Maine. Well, I'm actually a board member of the REL, and so part of the reason I wanted to be here tonight, I think it's critically important for us to use data and research to help inform policy decisions. And I wanted to support our legislators and our Growth Council members that are here and to engage in a conversation with them about the importance of really looking at the research, identifying the questions, what do we need to think about as a state as we move forward in this important work, how do we advance the policy agenda, but also look at longitudinal studies. Well, I think that the key questions that she helped to delineate for all of us in the room, what are the pieces that we want to build in to define what is quality early childhood education and early care, and to really be mindful of looking at control groups. That's always a very hard thing for states to think about, that you give some children the program or the support and intervention while you don't give it to others, especially when we're trying to invest in our children. So one way that we really can move this agenda is to look at what other states have been doing and to perhaps select some of those programs for implementation here in Maine and to monitor our success.
I'm Cheryl Peavy. I'm the director of the Early Childhood Initiative, which is the systems change effort for the state of Maine. And in my role, I am in charge of staffing the Children's Growth Council, which was a newly legislatively authorized entity as of last year, as well as staffing the Governor's Business Roundtable on early childhood investment. And we have a state plan, Invest Early in Maine, that we're working to get implemented, and that's truly my function. I really saw working with policymakers as a key reason to come to this conference. Having the opportunity to broaden our audience is one of the things that we have in our Invest Early plan. Truly having new people, new champions who understand what early childhood means, what it's about, that it's bigger than just childcare, that it's bigger than just infants and toddlers, that it's truly a holistic view of families, and being able to take what we have for good data and good information and apply it to our policies, because we do have a bit of a gap in our state, as do all states, truly. The thing that I found the most valuable from tonight's event was truly the roundtable discussion. We had some good thinking, some good brainstorming that was happening, and we really covered a broad range of issues, but we were able to funnel down and consider, what does this mean for our state? You know, we can talk about pre-K, we can talk about childcare and Head Start and home visiting, but how do we apply what we know and what ought to be done into actual policy and then begin to implement it? And truly having the commissioner right at the table with legislators, I think made a big difference for us in actually coming up with something tangible that we could begin to work on right away.
I'm Christine Ross, and I am a senior economist with Mathematica Policy Research. Most of my research is on early childhood education programs, some of it descriptive of the programs, and some of it is evaluating the impacts of programs on children and families. That there is good research on the impacts of programs for infants and toddlers. Number two, that there is good research showing that variations in curriculum and variations in professional development can have important impacts on the quality of programs, and some of them have impacts on children. And third, that it's very important to approach the development of an early childhood system as a learning experience, that if you can collect data as you go and test out innovative ideas, you can collect research that applies to your programs in your state and get better information over time with which to build a system and make good investments over time.
Hi, my name is Pam Buffington. I'm the Maine State Liaison from the REL to the stakeholders in Maine. We're really interested in doing outreach to a broad range of stakeholders in the state of Maine, and one of the particular sets of stakeholders that we know inform educational policy are legislators. And in the state of Maine, a number of different agencies, the Department of Education, Health and Human Services, and legislators work together a lot. And so there are a number of issues that come up in which the legislators want to know more about research to help inform their policy. And so in our process of need sensing, we determined that there were legislators and educational leaders that are really interested in early childhood, and not just early childhood education, but early childhood systems. And in this particular time where there's reinvestment and recovery funds coming into the state of Maine, they're really concerned about making good decisions about where to make those investments and what do we know from research that'll help us make those decisions. And so therefore we really wanted to get that group together that cared about these issues strongly. I think that people will take a number of things away from this gathering. One, they have a deeper understanding of what we at the Regional Educational Laboratory can provide to them to help them do their job and do their job in a more informed way using evidence and research. They learned a bit about how we talk about research, what it is and how we define it, what we can and can't do as part of the lab, but also what's out there. Because it's not necessarily that we'll always have an answer for them, but rather we can help them to know what is and isn't there. So I think they took that away. They also had an opportunity to connect across groups that they don't work with. So there were a number of stakeholders that may not talk about these issues in the same way. So we had folks from DHHS, from the DOE, the Commissioner of Education, we had the First Lady, and the state of Maine coming together and talking to one another in a way that they don't always get to talk to one another. So it was an opportunity for them to do networking. They also see the bigger picture of things and how we might help them, kind of map the landscape in Maine, informed by the bigger national picture.